Hello everyone, we were discussing about morphology in flowering plants, and in this video we are going to discuss about the subaerial and the underground stem modification. So let us give a start at it. But before we study the classification of the subaerial weak stem, let us understand how the presence of subaerial weak stem can help a plant, means how their presence is benefited for a plant. So first I have written down some 2 points over here. So first point is these stem modifications help a plant to spread over the soil. What does this mean? Let us understand. If this is the soil surface, okay, this is the soil surface. I am trying to draw it in 3 dimension. Okay, and plant has grown, maybe some type of plant has grown. Okay, and its branches will be there. Trying my best to draw the plant. Okay, branches will be there. Hope you can see the plant. It's like this. If subaerial weak stem is present, then what happens is this plant can, with the help of the subaerial weak stem, this subaerial weak stem, it will be not able to grow upright, right? It is a type of prostate weak stem. It is a weak stem, and even if we give it a support, it cannot grow upright. What happens is this subaerial weak stem will come out as a branch, okay, and after some time it will fall in the ground. It will root at intervals. It will root here, and it will produce another plant. Okay, so that is how we get benefited, means the plants get benefited from the presence of these type of subaerial stem, subaerial weak stem. So this structure over here is subaerial weak stem. Okay, let me give it a different color to give it red. This structure is the subaerial weak stem over here. Now, so you have understand, I hope, this point, that these stem modification help a plant to spread over the soil. Means the plant was here, it helps the plant to get another copy, means get the plant spread over this whole soil. Okay, and the second point is that this type of modification also helps in vegetative reproduction. How does it help in vegetative reproduction? Sometimes, means most of the times, what happens is that this connection, after the plant has developed much, this connection breaks. Okay, so you will see this connection break off from here. Then what will happen? This plant will become an individual plant, and this type of reproduction, where where a new plant originates from a part of the parent plant, is called vegetative reproduction, and this structure sometimes helps in vegetative reproduction also. So we have understood how the presence of subaerial weak stem can be helpful to a plant. Now let us understand what are the classification of the subaerial weak stem. So let me clear this off first to get some space. Right now, what happens is, in the trailers, first of all we are talking about trailers. Trailers is the most primitive kind of what we say subaerial weak stem. What happens in trailers is, this is the soil surface. Okay, they just grow from one point, and their main stem is only the subaerial weak stem. In the previous example, when we were talking about the benefits of having subaerial weak stem, we had drawn a plant where the main stem could grow upright. But in the trailers, what happens is that the main stem is only the subaerial weak stem, so it will just not be able to grow upright. So it will grow along the soil in any direction it wishes. Okay, like this. Now, these trailers can be classified on the basis of their growing pattern into 2 types: the diffused and the non-diffused trailers. Okay, how can we say what is the diffused and what is the non-diffused? Let us see. If this stem Okay, this is below the soil surface. This is the root, to understand. If this stem, this will have some leaves. If this stem grows only in one direction, then this is called the non-diffused trailer. What do I mean by one direction? Let us see. We will call this as a non-diffused trailer. Okay. Then what is the diffused trailer? We will see just now. This is the non-diffused. Okay. This is the non-diffused. Then what is the diffused? If a plant is there which will grow like this. Okay. You can see here in this plant that branching has not occurred. Only the stem is growing, and it is growing in one direction only, although it is coiling somewhat, but still we can say that it is growing in one direction. If the trailer was diffused, then it will grow somewhat like this. So this roots will be present. This is below the soil. Okay, and then it will grow in one direction. Alright, when it is non-diffused, then what happens is some branches also develop. They will grow in this direction. Here some branches develop, they will grow in this direction. Here some branches develop, here some branches also develop. So you can see that these plants are growing in all types of directions with the help of branches. But here no branches were there, so this plant was growing only in one direction. So in this type of sorry, I don't think my diagram is well, but I hope you can understand it. Okay, and this type of plants are called the diffused plants, right? These are some leaves will be present. Okay, I'm trying to make my diagram a little bit more understandable rather than being rubbish. Okay, I hope it is getting somewhat clear now that these are not any zigzag patterns of lines. This is the weak stem, and the leaves have grown from this weak stem. Alright, enough. Now, what is this called? So, this is called the diffused weak subaerial weak stem. So that was the difference. What happens is, in the non-diffuse there is no branches, so the stem grows in one particular direction, and what happens in the diffused kind, their branches grow from the main stem, and then the branches can grow in completely different direction than the main stem, which causes it to grow in all directions, spread out in all directions. So trailers can be classified as diffused and non-diffused. What are the examples of diffused? They can be, let me give here, or let me take another box. Okay, they can be, example can be, the scientific name it is, so beware, Euphorbia prostata. This is only one example, there are many more, but let us only give one example, easier to remember. Prostata, I remember it. Prostata means it is diffusing in all directions. I remember in that this way. You can try your method. And non-diffuse can be the Tridax. Okay, Tridax can be the non-diffused subaerial weak stem. So that was it. So let me write example over here. Example can be Tridax. Okay. So that was trailers. Now let's move on to runners. What are the runners actually? So the main difference of trailers with that of the runners is that the trailers do not root at intervals. Alright, so you will see that trailers will not produce any root after only one root will be present where the stem has originated its growth, and then it will not produce any root. It will continue growing indefinitely. But what happens in the runners is that there is rooting at intervals. Okay, so roots are produced at some intervals. So let's see by diagram. So what happens in the runners, if this is the soil, okay, then what will happen, this will grow from here, so there will be some roots present over here. If it was the trailer, then it will continue its growth without any roots, and it will just, and if it is diffused, then it will spread in this direction also, and it will spread in this direction also. But what happens, which will differentiate it from trailers, is that if it is a runner, then there will be some roots, adventitious roots obviously, which will be developed at place to place. Okay, that will be the differentiating characters between the trailers and the runners. As you can see in this runners also, the main stem is still just a weak stem. It is not a stem which can grow upright. It is still a weak stem, and the difference is that only difference is that it produces adventitious roots at intervals. So what can be the examples? And let me say you another thing, where it produces adventitious roots, a bud can arise sometimes, and it can produce some leaves. Sometimes it can produce some leaves over here. Means here the roots are there, it can produce some leaves also over there. The roots are there. Okay, like that the plant will grow. Maybe there is some leaves. Okay, so that what can be the example? Let me give the example. A very common example is there. Example can be, this is not a scientific name, let me remove it. Example can be lawn grass. Lawn grass. A very common example. If you have ever tried to uproot a grass, what you will observe, let me give you a experience from day-to-day life. If this is your backyard, let's say, okay, and grass has grown over here. Okay, some grass has grown over here. Okay, let me see how well I can draw grass. Okay, grasses have grown. Okay, and they will obviously, if they have grown, they will have roots. They will have roots, and this maybe when you try to uproot it, you will find that stem-like structure appears. Okay, stem-like structure appears, and after you pull it more, you will see that this grass is also connected to this grass, right? If you keep pulling it, you will see that this grass will also get uprooted if you try to uproot this grass. This structure, what happens is that this grass, maybe this grass has grown first, and then this like this Subaerial weak stem, a runner, has grown, and then again over here it has rooted at intervals, and it has produced some leaves. Okay, it has produced some leaves. The grasses are leaves only. Okay, so it will, and then it may be that another grass is linked. Okay, so like this it occurs, and this structure, which you will see when you will try to remove the grass, the connection between the two grasses, separate grasses, is called the runner. Okay, I hope you found it useful. Let us move on to the next one, stolon. Alright, to clear this stuff out. Now in the stolon, we will first see some plants which will have their main stem, upright stem, which can grow upright, but it will have a branch which will be subaerial weak stem, and it will help in most of the time which I told just now. Just now means some minutes before. The two functions I told, it can help the plant to spread, okay, and it can also help the plant to reproduce. So let us see examples of stolon. Okay, now what happens in the stolon is, if this is the ground, we will see plant has grown from here. This flowering plant, morphology in flowering plant, so flower will be obviously present. Okay, the above branches will be also stems which are not peak stems. Okay, so let me draw some branches over there, and with flowers, some leaves. Okay, but what happens from the lower part of the plant, a branch may arise which is not similar to the other branches. This branch will be a subaerial weak stem, and this stem will just obliquely grow downwards, and it will touch the ground. When it touches the ground, it will produce adventitious roots, and it will also again produce another plant. It will produce another plant. Now, so it helps the plant to spread around in the ground. This structure is called the stolon. Alright, this structure is called the stolon. So now you may find it similar, if you have studied, to a vegetative reproduction practice of layering, where what happens is we take a branch and we bend it down to the ground, and what happens after that, slowly that the branch produces adventitious roots, and after some time a new plant develops, quite similar to this. And you will find, I will say that this is the same thing, and the vegetative practice of layering depends on the stolon principle. Okay, so this is the stolon, and what happens is that after this plant grows some time, grows a bit mature, okay, the link will break down. After this plant grows mature, this link will break off, and then this plant will be another plant, and then it may again develop another stolon which will produce another plant, and this process will go on. So it helps in reproduction also, and helps the plant to spread around also. Okay, so that was the stolon. What was its difference from that of the runners? Stolon have the main plant, main stem as a stem which is not a subaerial weak stem, but the runners and the trailers have their main stem as the subaerial weak stem. Okay, now we will talk about, oh sorry, I remembered I didn't give an example over here. The example will be rose. Fine, rose. Now let's talk about the offsets. Let us see. These offsets are generally seen in the hydrophytes, means the plant which grow on the water surface, but sometimes it means very rarely it is seen in the terrestrial plants also. One example in where these offsets are seen in terrestrial plants is that is Agave americana. It's a scientific name obviously, and it is one example. There are some more there, but it is one example where offsets are seen in terrestrial plants, and most of the time it is seen in aquatic plants like water lettuce, okay, and water hyacinth, like this. But what is offset? Let us talk. Okay, so since most of the time it is present in the hydrophytes, so let's instead of making the soil surface, let's make the water surface. Let's make some water. Okay, let's see how well I can make the water. My drawing is actually not so good. Okay, what happens is that this offset is actually a 1 internode long weak subaerial weak stem. Okay, 1 internode long subaerial weak stem, where okay, let me first label it. This structure the cylinder like structure you are seeing. Okay, this is not a cylinder, this is actually an offset. I have not drawn the diagram completely, so don't think that it is just that. I will draw it later, little bit later. This is the offset, and let me mention that it is one internode long. Okay, and let me just now what happens in one side of it. One side of this is a very reduced type of stem which will have leaves growing on it in a rosette manner. Okay, what do I mean by rosette manner? It is, these leaves will grow like the petals in a rose. So these will be the leaves, but it will grow as if they are the petals in a rose. Let me change my color, it will be better visible to you. It will grow like the petals in a rose, but it will be green in color. So we call it a rosette pattern. Okay, like this the leaves will grow on the circular reduced stem, and below that obviously some, maybe the roots will be present, maybe aquatic roots. Okay, it will have root pockets if they are aquatic roots, and obviously they will be aquatic roots, and in the other side also the same will be present. Okay, other side also the same structure will be present, a rosette pattern. Okay, I hope it is not very bad. A rosette pattern like this of leaves, and then a rosette pattern of leaves, and then the roots will develop from there. Okay, so this structure is called the offset. Okay, so actually I paused the video and made a better diagram. Okay, so here you can see, let me correct the size. Here this structure joining the two hydrophytes is called the offset, which is usually one internode long. Okay, sorry, and this, on the two ends of that there are plants. Okay, and when they have to reproduce, this structure just breaks off as usually happens, and then maybe another structure develops and another plant grows from that structure. So that was the offset. The main difference between stolon and offset is that most of the offset are found in the hydrophytes. Okay, so that was it. Thanks for watching. The video is of you already crossed 20 minutes, so I will talk about the underground stem modifications in the next video. Thank you.